I would like to invite you to our first English wine tasting. Online, live here from Wallhausen, from our family winery. I'm Prinz Felix, I run the estate in the 32nd generation. And we will be tasting Seit, sparkling wine. In England. My wife and I, we were both at school in England, and yeah, that's at least one of the reasons we are standing here today, and why at least I think I am able to run you through this tasting. It's our first English online wine tasting, and we're very grateful of all of you who are here. William the Conqueror, not only for you guys, it's important. I know not all of you are from England, but I really welcome all of you from wherever you are. We are here in Wallhausen, in Germany, in the wine-growing region Nahe, and we is my wife and I, and maybe she can come and join me. And now if you'd be the audience, we'd have a big cheer. So welcome, Victoria. This is Victoria.
You are Felix. And a very warm welcome from our side. We are very happy that you are online tonight with us. And yes, first of all, I think we should present our studio, I think, no?
Yeah, so this is not only a studio, but it's also a kindergarten. We have two small boys, they play here throughout the day. It's also a dog's home. Cassiopeia you will see later on. Come here. It's a wine shop. So whenever you drive from Southern Europe to Northern Europe or the other way around, you will bypass Wallhausen. It's around 1 hour west of Frankfurt, and you can stop by here and buy some of the wines. At the back is where the office is, and the rest of the place you will see later on also.
Felix, I have a question at the beginning. What is it what you have in your hands, and what are you planning for tonight?
We're planning a lot. We have a great tasting. I know we're not going to start another war, no worries. We are here to present to you another way of how, if you're thirsty and if you want to make a big impression to someone, to open a bottle of sparkling wine, of Sekt or of champagne. And looking at me, I tell you it works. So all you guys out there, if you want to do something special, watch and learn. No,
did it work from the first time you did it? Like
No.
how often have you opened a bottle like this? I would be interested in knowing.
I think you were there all the time.
Yes?
No?
Okay.
5, 6 times.
So it's probably the 7th time, I think, today.
So basically what you have to do, you get rid of all the stuff on top, so only the cork is inside. Then every bottle has one line on it, where they're kind of glued together. And then, of course, you need a German sword.
How old does it have to be?
At least 200 years old. Okay. Otherwise, the friction will not work. Then...
Close your ears.
I hope this works.
Cameraman, you have to go to the side if you want to live.
So
they're hiding already.
Yeah, and then you get the glasses ready.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
You get everyone ready who you want to kill, and, yeah, and then in one. Second time lucky.
But I'm
usually there should be no spill. So I'm sorry for
Cassiopeia, our dog, will be drunk later on, possibly.
Yes. Sorry for spilling.
I think we need. Why do we need a third glass?
Well, we have a very special guest. And that's what we need 3 glasses for, is my father. He'll be here today also. There you go.
I wanted to give you this.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to all of you to the Prinz Salm wine tasting.
Welcome, all Europeans.
Wait, I will give you this so everyone can hear you in a better way.
Yeah, it's very professional. We've been doing this now for 10 weeks. Due to the lockdown, we have found new ways to taste our wines with you guys. And so in March, when lockdown just started in Germany, we did our first online wine tasting. And ever since, every Friday evening, we've done a German online wine tasting. It's the first time for people who don't speak German. So here we are. Sorry. Cheers.
Cheers.
Victoria will leave us.
Yes. But I will be back later.
Before she leaves us, we will do one selfie, and we ask you to do the same. We're gonna do a big
multi-picture.
A big multi-picture, and we ask you, if you wanted to do the same, send it to us, and you will be in our history books for the next 1,000 years also. So one picture with you guys, and with Gabriel behind the camera. Yeah. Victoria, what are you going to do now?
I'm going to be...
Sorry? Yeah.
I'm going to be in the social media studio. If you have any questions, please ask them or in the chat, or write an email to me, Victoria with C, @Prinz Salm, you can see it on your etiquettes of the wines, .de. Looking forward to a wonderful discussion tonight.
So any comments, any suggestions, any questions you've always wanted to ask a 31st or 32nd generation wine grower, write to us.
Yes, but my son Felix is the first one in 32 generations who really learned the job, went to wine university in Geisenheim, and I'm very proud of him, and the wines became much better since he took over. So welcome to my very dear friends from all over Europe, the friends of the countryside. We should meet in some days in Cordoba. We can't meet, so it's great that you are now with me and we are together on that virtual wine tasting. Welcome to my home drink, Principessa, which is going to be explained by Felix, who is going on with wine tasting. We will see us later on, so welcome. Let's have a nice evening tonight. Great that you are with us.
One question before you leave us. Just quickly, when did you take over? How big was the estate? And when did you hand it over? Just these quick steps.
Okay. Wine was in the family for at least 800 years, probably 1,000 years. It's documented very long so. But my father was more a forester, so I only took over some 15 acres. But I married a lady coming from Franconia, Philippa, you all know her very well. And she is also from a wine-growing family estate, Castel in Franconia. So we decided to really remake the wine, and yes, it was a kind of renaissance. We started very small and grew quite well and were able to buy a second estate at the Rhine River. That is going to be explained by Felix. So I took over in 82 and I handed over 3 years ago.
What were the 2-3 biggest steps for you during your time running the estate?
Switching over to sustainable management. We started with organic growing. Felix swapped over to fair and green. He is going to explain that as well. Then my presidency in VDP. VDP is a 200 top growers in Germany. Verband Deutscher Prädikatsweingüter, which is going to be explained also. Number 3, buying of the second estate. And of course, the recultivation of the Johannisberg, our very, very, very famous vineyard site, which was in bad shape. And we had to reconstruct all of that and have done, with the help of Felix, very, very well so. So now the estate is really on its own feet and does make its own profit. And it's a fight, as everywhere in the world. And this virtual wine tasting is part of the Corona question, because we have a lot of export to the United States, which we lost, and all the gastronomy, restaurants. So it's very good to have this personal contact. And I think that's something about countryside. Countryside has big chances in those days of social distancing, because by virtual tasting and meetings, we can be together, even be apart.
Very good. Thank you very much. We will see more of him later, luckily. And we are very happy he's here. We're very happy we can commence with this family tradition.
Before we start, I have to take your micro.
We have to switch over. And we're very happy to go on with this tradition. After all, my family is the oldest family-running winery we know of. We've been making wine for more than 800 years for sure. You'll see more of that later. And I want to say a warm welcome to lots of people out there. I'm going to miss someone, I'm sure. First of all OGs from downside, welcome all of you. Michael in Poland, but also everyone from the neighboring countries of Germany. We started off with the Sekt. Today we have a tasting of 6 wines, the sparkling, 4 white wines, and at the end a red wine. Now this is really an entry to the winery. We're going to show you most of the wines are the estate wines, and if you're interested in more after this, you can already, as long as you use the label, write down in your calendar the 26th of June. That's when we're going to have a second live wine tasting, and we will have a couple of other wines then, our other sparkling wine, Pinot Brut Nature, you see back here also, and we will have a Merlot at the end, something very different, and a bit more into the single vineyard wines also. So if you ever wanted to learn more about German wines, this is the time to do it. Of course, we welcome you to visit us when this whole thing is over and you're able to come here. Now the Sekt, it's the La Principessa Rosé Sekt. Maybe my nephew, who is the biggest camera man between Sweden and Italy, doing a great job behind the camera. And he showed you the label. It's a label my wife introduced into the estate. So I've been working here since 2007. I married Victoria in 2015, and in 2017 we took over the estate. We started with the Principessa, also with the vintage 2015. And yeah, this has been an extreme big step for us, because before our sparkling wine section was only maybe 1% of all we did. So we have 18 hectares all over. We produce roughly 100,000 liters. And 10% of that nowadays is sparkling, is Sekt. And now sparkling, it's the same method then you know of champagne, or you have your sparkling wine in England or wherever you're from. For the high-end sparkling wines, we're looking at least 9 months in the second fermentation. Here it's 18 months, and we're looking at a fermentation in the bottle, so the highest possible quality of making sparkling. We have a Rosé Sekt, we have a Pinot Brut Natur, and we have a Riesling Sekt. And these three are basically, before I took over, Sekt was just there to enhance our own parties. And so at our family events, we didn't need to drink anything else. Now my wife came up with the new labels, and we expanded much more. And yeah, I think tasting it, you can see why it's rosé. It's Pinot Noir, 97%, 3% is Merlot. And the Merlot brings the color and the cherry kind of touch to it. This has around 10 grams residual sugar. So you have a slight level of sweetness to it. You have a great width on the palate. Great champagne for any time, and especially when you're able to open it the first time, like I did the second time, you'll win all the hearts over the art we won. Sekt is a big thing in Germany. Until 10 years, it was mostly between the wineries who did Sekt, but in the past 5 years, 10 years, Sekt has really had a big uprise in sales, in quality, and it's really something to look out for. It's all Méthode Champenoise we do. It's really all high level. It's all, like everything we're tasting today, it's all our own juice. It's all from our own vineyards. So whenever you drive by and you want to visit us, and you ask me, where is this wine from, I will take you into the vineyard and show you exactly where the wine is from. That's as much as we can do quality-wise. That's very special. And we are also, as my father said, a member of the VDP. I will show you the logo later. Meaning we are roughly one of the top 200 wineries within Germany. In our region, there's only 9 VDP estates, and we're very glad and happy to be one of them. Yeah, so a great way to start the evening. Principessa Sekt has done a huge job for us, and we are happy to work on the Sekt tradition. We also have Sekts now, vintage Sekts from 2017, which are still in the bottle, which we'll only present probably in 2-3 years' time, depending on how they evolve. So this Sekt is mainly from the vintage 2019, so still very young. But I think, great, really gets your taste buds going and loosens up my tongue, which is very important at this point of time. Yes, we will continue with the second wine. Before we do so, you all should have a tasting order in your... You should have had a tasting order. So just so you know, before we start, and I'm going to show you 1 or 2 things, we're going to start off with the Principessa, which I hope you've all had. Then we're going to have the Salm Weiss. It's a white blend. Then we're going to go on to the Weißburgunder. It's a Pinot Blanc. Then we go to Riesling, to our big strength, the Riesling, Grünschiefer, and then the two Princes Riesling. And last but not least, we will have the Salm Rot. It's a blend between Pinot Noir and Merlot. Next to that, we also added, I hope to all of your cases, if not, it's my nephew's fault, we added the list of wineries of the VDP and of the Fair and Green movement. It's a certification system, both of them, where you can get to know a little bit more about our sustainable way of working and of our high quality profile within the VDP. So something for you to read tonight or tomorrow morning. The Salm Weiss, here it is, is a white blend, which is our one of the three biggest estate wines at our estate. So we have, with this wine and the two Princes and the Grünschiefer, are three biggest sellers today also. The Salm Weiss is also represents all our grape varieties at the estate. So it's mainly Riesling, but it's also Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, and Scheurebe. So 4 different grape varieties. All over at our estate, we have 7 different grape varieties. Riesling, 70% of what we do is Riesling. The best grape variety in the world, the most versatile grape variety, the queen of the grape varieties. And then we have a stronghold in Pinots, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris. And then very little in Merlot and Scheurebe, which we have now. But that's, when you stick your nose into the Salm Weiss, that's when you will understand what Scheurebe is like. A great flowerness to it, a great bouquet in the nose already. When tasting it, you can see the acidity kicking in. But then the Pinot comes and gives a width to the wine. Now, before we came here, we had great asparagus dinner with Schnitzel, Wiener Schnitzel. And my father said, so what shall we drink? And what did we have? The Pinot Blanc, we also have in this wine, but we're going to taste after this one. And the Salm Weiss, both of them are really super, super food wines, especially for lunch or when you have a light dinner, because you have everything. You have a nice sweetness, you have nice acidity, you have the width on the mouth, and on the other hand, you can also just have it on the patio, on the balcony, in the garden in summertime, because it's just, and I think that's a lot what German wine is about. They're really mouth-watering. No, that's what we're really looking for. I think coming out of today this is one thing I hope you will really see, that the wines really animate to have a second glass. And that's what we love about the wines, about this region, about the climate in this region. Because these grapes which are grown here are just perfect for our climate. Now, der Salm is our name. So, and you don't need to remember this, no worries. Our full name is Prinz zu Salm and Salm, Wild und Rheingraf. Now, the Salm is the salmon. So for everyone who speaks English or Latin, it's fairly easy to comprehend. Salm is the fish. So in Germany, we have two ways of naming salmon. It's one word is Salm, our family name, and the other word is Lachs. Those two words basically both mean salmon. In the Middle Ages, the word Salm was used more because that was the word for the fish in the sweet water, so in the Rhine. And my family had the fishing rights in the Rhine. And that's why you see the fish on the label, on the capsule, on everything we sent out. You see fish on our door handles even. Didn't make it to the sword back then, but we still have something to do for the future. That's our family name. My family was in 3 regions in Germany, and one of them is here. And we know that we've been making wine here in this region for more than 800 years. This is also where we want to take you. This is where we want to show you, as we can't show you around the estate, as we can't drive through the vineyards. We will show you this in a minute also. But before that, the one and only Victoria, La Principessa, will join me. Yeah, so we talk about more. Does it work?
I think it works.
Okay, very good.
If it doesn't work, we will change it. Yes, again, a wonderful welcome from my side. Thank you for being here, and thank you for already sending lots of greetings from Norwich, London, Beirut, Bochum, Berlin, Hamburg, Balhausen, and Ireland and Italy. So it is really a wonderful European gathering.
Norwich. I've always wanted to go to Norwich. Never made it. Maybe you'll invite me. Be happy to come. A big friend in Norwich, but I never visited him.
So we do have the first questions. Anna Collahan asks whether we make the sparkling wines after the méthode champenoise.
Yes. So all our sparkling wines is the méthode champenoise, which means the wine has to be fermented in the bottle for the second time, at least for 9 months. There's other laws which go with it, but yes, everything we do is with the highest quality method, méthode champenoise.
And how long does it have to be in the bottle for the second fermentation?
9 months.
9 months.
And our sects are all at least 18 months in the bottle.
And why do you leave them longer in the bottle than just the 9 months?
Yes, the time you leave the wine in the second fermentation on the yeast, on the lees, is also a matter of quality. So it's also a sign of quality. The work before that has to be good. So the grapes have to be right for the kind of sparkling we do. Because in order to do a sparkling wine, you don't just take any wine. You work throughout the year in order to produce sparkling.
So your first work starts in the vineyard. That's where you check if the quality is good enough to make a sparkling wine.
Yeah, basically in January, February, we pick out the vineyards we want to make sparkling from. And everything we do throughout the year works towards making super sparkling wines. Yeah, that's very, very important. And then leaving it on the yeast longer is just another step. Okay. Collahans, so great to have you here tonight. We are super, super happy. And William, all of you, big hugs.
Felix, I think we should do wine tastings more often. We already have lots of invitations to Norwich.
Norwich.
Oh, sorry.
Norwich.
Okay.
Well, we were going to go to a wedding this No.
No, in June.
In June?
Yes. To my dear friend Sarah from my boarding school.
It's not too far from Norwich, no? Where was it? Eastern England, I think.
Close to Tunbridge Wells. Yes.
Yeah. So we hope to come soon to England.
Then another question from Cecily. How much Principessa do we roughly sell per year?
So it's going up. We are now selling roughly 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 bottles per year of Principessa. We only started 4 years ago, so it's been a huge thing for us to do this much. Going back 5 years, we only sold 1,000 bottles of sparkling altogether. So it's been a real, in Germany, even for export, it's really started to vibrate, and for sparkling wine German sparkling wine to really hit the market. So it's a really important segment for us.
Okay, wonderful. And one question from my student friend Sasha from London, whether we named the La Principessa after the movie La Vita è Bella. And also, I must say, it's one of our most favorite movies. The majority of you will know it.
La Principessa.
And it was one of the reasons. Yes, Sasha. Very good that you're here tonight with us. Yes, that were the questions so far.
And the Principessa was her first kick-off work at the winery.
Yes.
So it was her idea. She did the selecting of the juice, of the labeling and everything. It's all, so everything who likes it, all compliments to her.
To me.
I just did some rough work in the vineyards. That's about it.
So for everyone who just went online now, please do not hesitate to send questions either in the chat or to my email, which is victoria@prinzsalm.de. And I think it's about time to get to know the region.
Yeah.
Around here.
The region, the house, and who could show this better to you than her father-in-law?
Hearty welcome to Wallhausen, surrounded by mountains, by vineyards. We think our home valley is most beautiful. 1,600 people living here. My ancestors founded the first wine school in 16th century already to protect the viticulture and to really grow for quality. So now we will go to the house itself, which was built in 18th century. That is our coat of arms, our logo. The two salmons from my side, and that's the Philippa's logo, Castell family. So the salmons, since centuries, are with us, and my grandfather Salm married my grandmother Dahlberg, so they were the 29th generation, and now I'm the 31st and Felix the 32nd generation of working here at that very place in Wallhausen. Now welcome to my home. My home is my new castle. The old one is Dahlberg. This one was the estates building and became the castle in 18th century. Built by my grandmother Dahlberg. You see the coat of arms up there. And also you see the Christian wording that this house should service to the Lord. As does the church, which also is built by my family. I do love this stairhouse with the 4 big trees, oak. They had been transported 250 years ago on the Rhine River to Wallhausen. The Rhine is of most important for my family. 1,000 years ago, we came as a family tribe from the Rhine to this Nahe Valley here, found Dahlberg, built the old castle, and started the cultivation of the country. Cultivation with wine, vineyards. We built a school for top quality winemaking and went on living here with short interruptions when foreigners visited us, but we always came back and lived then here in this house, which till 1715 was the estate building. 250 years ago, we moved from Dahlberg to Wallhausen, and now we live here with 3 generations. It's a real family home. And we would heartily welcome you all visiting us here.
So you saw where we live, where we spent a lot of our time. You saw the region, and I hope you got a hunger to come here and visit us. Yes, hello to Spain. Great friends from Spain joined us. I want to say hello to the Hughes family in Cambridge, in the Yorks. My brother's sister-in-law got married to an English guy, Rob, and he is the reason you are here. So, hi, Rob, to Hamburg. Hi, Michael Hallen and your friends. Great you're here tonight. We're going to continue with the Weißburgunder, which is now a Pinot Blanc. So Burgunder translates into Pinot, and Germany is a huge Pinot producing country. We're the 3rd largest producer for Pinot Noir. I think for Pinots all over, we're even the 2nd biggest producer. So Pinot is next to the Riesling a huge thing for us, very important, and we also chose this wine to show you what Germany does with other grape varieties next to Riesling. Germany is very well known for Riesling. We are the king of Rieslings. We really, most of the Riesling by far is grown in Germany, and that's our DNA. That's really what we do, what we grow up with. The Pinot is our 2nd leg, though, so it's really a stronghold for us, and it's been doing really, really well for us. And I think tasting this wine, you can understand why. For one or two of you, just a quick run through how I taste wine. Wine is something for all senses. So you look at the wine, you see what color it is. So quite obvious, is it red or white? But also within white wine, you have a lot of different colors. So you can already kind of see, is it a more intense wine? Is it an aged wine? Is it a young wine? And there's a lot more from the color which already helps you to identify and work with the wine, kind of. We hold the glass at the bottom so it doesn't warm up, and the glass looks nice so it doesn't get dirty. We smell to really see. We also shake a little, because due to the air, you get more aromas. You smell, see what you smell. For me, Pinot Blanc, this Weißburgunder, has a little spiciness to it. You get more of those yellow fruits. Some citrus, yeah, some lemony bits. but also nutty character. Yeah. And the taste is what I really love about Pinot Blanc, about this Pinot Blanc. A tiny hint of sweetness at the front of the palate, and then it explodes. You have great fruits, some ananas, some yellow fruits. It goes into the width. You have a nice fizz to it, nice minerality, and then it really spreads throughout your mouth, and with a very long finish. And this really, at home, when we don't know what to drink with food, we pick up the Pinot Blanc because, I really believe you always need a case of Pinot Blanc, of this Pinot Blanc especially, in your cooler, because it does so well. And I think it's a wine which, tastes good to a broad number of people also. So my father told you already what kind of works we do, what is important to us, and one very important thing to us is the quality. Now, my father, that's how I grew up. You can talk about things, but to be controlled by a neutral body is even more important. And that's why we're a member of the VDP. The VDP is a top wine growers association. Gabriel will show you the eagle on the capsule. This eagle with a grape cluster inside is the logo of the VDP. The VDP is the top wine growers association in Germany. There's 200 estates members of the VDP. And being in the VDP, you have to follow very strict rules. First of all, we take a big stand on the top vineyard sites. You need to have the best vineyard sites to a big extent in order to be a VDP member. You cut down your yield in order to bring up your quality. So with wine, the more you harvest, the lower the quality. When you cut down the yield, the quality will go up. And that's one very important thing for wine worldwide, is about quantity, cutting down the quantity, and about the vineyard site. These two are hugely important factors which enable to do very good wines or just good wines. That's why 70% of our vineyards are VDP Grand Cru or VDP Premier Cru sites. So most of what we do, most of our work is in steep vineyard sites, on Grand or Premier Cru vineyard sites. In Germany, Große Lage, VDP Große Lage is a Grand Cru, and VDP Erste Lage is Premier Cru. Again, if you want to taste one of these on the 26th of June, we'll have the next tasting in English, for English-speaking tongue. And we will have a wine from the Premier Cru vineyard site with us. The Grünschiefer we will taste in a minute is a blend from single vineyard sites, so you get a hint of it, and that's very good. And now I've been talking too long, I think. That's a sure sign when my wife comes in that
when I should
stop talking. May I pour you some?
Yes, please do so. Thank you very much. We do have someone new online, Otto from Zwolle. Hello, Otto.
Otto!
Thank you for having joined us.
Hi, Otto. Great. Otto worked here for a couple of months. I've become a great friend. So welcome.
Whoever wants to take off some time from hard working, you're always invited to help us in our vineyards.
And work hard here.
And work hard here. It's a different type of work.
For most people, yeah.
So we do have a question concerning our most popular wine outside of Germany. Which one would you say is our most popular wine? Would it be the Two Princes or?
Well, sales-wise, it's the Two Princes.
Yes.
because we've been historically very strong in the US with the two Princes Riesling, although in the past years we've also spread to a numerous account of countries. From Korea, we just working on China, Japan. Japan was always more into the Spätlese. Yeah, but the Pinot Blanc is also in the Netherlands and so forth. So yeah.
The two princes we will also be tasting later, right?
Yes, it's second wine after this.
Then another question: are there specific glasses you prefer for Riesling, and are they different from Burgundy? And do you serve them at the same temperature?
Very good question. Yes. If you want to be freaked out about it, there's basically for every wine a glass. For sweet Riesling, for dry Riesling, for aged Riesling, for young Riesling, for even older Riesling, and so forth. And there's Burgundy glasses, but even within Burgundy, there's different glasses. This is it's a standard glass where you can taste a lot of things with it. But you see here, we already have different glasses here. This is for high-end Rieslings, for example, but we also use it for high-end Pinots.
The better the wine, the bigger the glass.
Generally speaking, yes. Maybe, as always, there's exceptions to the case. If we look at our ice wine or Trockenbernauslese, you can also have those in smaller glasses. But yes, that's really a huge world to dig into. Generally speaking, we need a shape like this. Yeah, probably the guy who asked the question knows anyway. But in very nice houses, often you have these great glasses and they're like V-shaped. The problem is all the aromatics leave straight away. In glasses like this,
they're kept
the
inside.
Aromatics are trapped, and that's why we love these shapes in all its different forms. Now that was only the first part of the question.
Yeah, the second part.
Temperature.
Yes.
So this Pinot and the next Grünschiefer, I would taste at the same temperature. For me, it's more about once it goes to the single vineyard sites, I would drink them maybe even a little warmer at 14, 16 degrees Celsius. Whereas for the Salm Weiss or the Weißburgunder, maybe you go for 12. Not below 10. Often, I feel white wine is drunk too young.
Too cold.
Also too young sometimes. But
and that's
cold.
When it kills the taste.
Yeah, basically. So sparkling, we're looking at 8 degrees. Young, fresh white wines, maybe 12 degrees. But when it comes to our Grand Cru vineyard sites, it can go up to 14, 16 degrees. Then again, you have to make your mind up on what you prefer.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important. But in order to get out the most aromatics of the wines, they shouldn't be too cold. That's why below 10, below 12,
it's a good temperature.
Yeah, that's mostly wines you need to hide something if you drink them very cold, because you won't taste the flaws in the wine. My father always said, buy warm and sell cold. So if you want to buy wine and if it tastes good when it's warm, you can buy it. It's going to be huge when it's cold.
Yeah, that's a good lead instruction.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then we have a question concerning the lobster. Some of you might have seen it in the back. And this is asked, why is there a lobster in our studio? And what would you recommend for when somebody wants to eat a lobster?
Well, that question you can answer. The first question, we like to eat lobster every second night. So we thought of buying a book because...
with all the recipes.
Yeah, just to have every second night to have a different kind of lobster. And that's why we have a book on lobsters. Yeah.
And the other thing, which wine goes best with a lobster? It's generally ripened Riesling. So that's why we do basically
What was your favorite until now?
My favorite what?
Wine to lobster?
2003 Bergroxheim Riesling.
A GG.
A GG.
Yeah. So Riesling from a dry. And when did you drink that? 2004 or?
No, I drank it 3 weeks ago.
Okay, very good. So that was the 33rd time this year we had lobster. No, I'm just joking. If we could, we'd eat lobster at least once a fortnight. But
we are not joking about the Rieslings.
No, dry Riesling and sweet Riesling, especially when they're aged, are amazing with lobster. Amazing. Any kind of shellfish, spicy dishes, Asian dishes are amazing with Riesling. Yeah. And Riesling is one of the greatest varieties for food. So you need to have a lot of Riesling in your fridge because it just does amazingly well with food.
And not only with fish, but the ripened Riesling is even excellent going with meat. That's something.
Also, yeah. There's basically no food where you will not find a Riesling, because Riesling is just so versatile that you can basically find food for every type of Riesling, or Riesling for every type of food. Now the book, we love food and wine. We love food and wine pairings, and that's why there's a lot of food books here. There's also presents and so
when
forth.
Producing a wine, we basically also always think about the food that goes with it.
Yeah.
We don't separate food and wine.
No.
We always think about it as a whole.
As one can see. More questions?
So far, not.
Finished?
No, yes, so far.
What do you think about the wine, Pinot?
I haven't had it so far. Or did you? I don't know, you poured me something.
That's unusual.
Yes, what I love about it is that it's very soft. It's animating.
You could have a little more wood character on it, I guess. She did 2 experiments now. Want to tell them about them?
Yes, generally this Weißburgunder, you would put it in a Edelstahl. How do you say it?
Yeah, in a stainless steel.
In stainless steel.
Yeah.
And we now took a part of the Weißburgunder.
She did.
I did.
Well, she told me to do it, so I did it.
And we put some of it in an oak barrel just to give it a little more power, to make it a little more stronger and a little more complex. And we will see. It's an experiment. We will find out how it tastes in about 2 years.
And what did we do in the vineyard differently?
In the vineyard, we chopped off the half of the
grape cluster.
Grape cluster.
Yeah. So the bottom half we cut off in order, like I said before, cut down the yield. We halve the grape cluster because the top is this half. And in doing so, we add to the quality. And that was one of the steps we took in order to make this wine. When do you want to sell it?
In about 2 years.
Yeah.
So keep posted.
Yeah, so I'm really just. Yeah.
He's my worker.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Yes, I think.
Yes, I am. No, you're not.
We
Yes,
can.
Go
on to the next wine. I would suggest. No.
Yeah. I'm happy to do so. Now, whoever asked about big glasses, this is another thing for you. Our high-end Rieslings, just like any high-end red wine, we like to decant. Yeah, because we like air. We like air in our wines because air brings out especially when these are high-end wines, brings out the best in these wines. We decant the wine, so the air will open up.
How many hours before drinking it you would suggest to decant them?
Well, this I did now 1 hour before. So decanting you can do straight away, it'll have an effect already. Now it depends on the wine, I guess. But if you have a big Riesling which is very young, decant it a little earlier. If the Riesling is already aged 10 years, you might want to decant it just an hour, 2 hours beforehand. And big glasses. Big wines need big glasses. And big wines, big Rieslings, high-end Rieslings love being decanted.
About the high-end Rieslings, I have one more question, because today it's more like our basic line, no? Apart from the green slate.
Yeah.
It's more, if you look at the VDP pyramid,
Yeah.
we're tasting the basic in the end, no?
Yeah.
So
we gave you this flyer, this thing, and it shows you basically the pyramid. Take a peek into it, you will really see the pyramid with a base being the estate wines, then the village wines, the Ortsweine, and then you have Erste Lage, Große Lage, Premier Cru and Grand Cru. So today we're tasting mainly the estate wines. The Grünschiefer is what we consider to be an Ortswein. So it's the third tier basically. And the second and the first tier you can taste also. You can order on the internet. We send to all of you guys who are drinking tonight will receive wines from us. You can order on the online shop. You can give us a call. You can come here. You can write us an email. Whichever way works for you best. And there you can really taste more wines besides the estate wines. Yeah.
So, and we will do another tasting anyhow, no? With a little more high-end wines on the 26th of June, also in English language.
Yeah. So at the moment we're doing a lot of different tastings. In 3 weeks' time we will have a German tasting with aged wines. We will taste wine from 2001, 2002, 98, 2012, 2008. All Riesling, of course. Riesling is the grape variety to age for a long time, also at a high-end level. And so we in the have really started to do different slots, different tastings with completely different wines, more Pinots, just focused on one soil. That's what we see here. We have the green slate Riesling now, and this is the red slate. I just showed it to you in the video. You will see it. In the video, you will see the soil, a lot of the red slate soil. That's what we have here. It's a big iron component. The two princes later, we will have some of the red slate also. What we have in our glass now is the green slate Riesling, and this is really unique because this green slate, that's what the castle's built of, and that is a slate which only exists at our estate. Now, why do I bother talking so much about the soil? Because I find it hugely interesting on one side, but also because Riesling is the grape variety to show the soil the most. No other grape variety is such a good ambassador for the soil.
What do you smell in the Grünschiefers, in the green slate?
What do you smell?
Some apple, some green, probably
green
even
apple, apricot, nectarine, a little.
Overripe apple, a little
overripe, yeah. Great minerality on the palate already. More the citrus. For me, the green slate it really hits you straight from the front. It doesn't come around. It doesn't hug you.
No, it's straightforward.
bang, it's there.
Yeah.
It's on your plate. We love green slate Riesling.
And green slate for me is like the perfect match to sushi, for example. I always find.
Yeah.
It's a great combination. And it's
acidity.
Great acidity.
Sorry.
It's our flagship, basically. No, I would say from the vineyard. It's.
You're my flagship, and this is the flagship of the winery.
Vineyard, the winery.
Grünschiefer Riesling, yeah, that's really what we also want to show you. And are we going off to the castle again?
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Before going back to some of the questions.
Of course.
First the castle and then the question.
First the castle, then the questions. Our regisseur and filmmaker, the one and only Gabriel, the man Hunsbruch, will show you the next slot of Wallhausen where we live.
Now we come to the old books. For example, here we have the maps of the vineyards. For every vineyard, one card with exact dating about how many rows, where are the walls, where are the boundaries, and that's documented for the last 800 years. And we also know about the vintages because every vintages is written down in a special book. For example, this one is from 1677, and here we can see all vineyards we still work with. Now we put it back and find the old deed from May 1219, so 800 years old. It's a copy of the old deed, documentation about the vineyard in Felsenegg, Breitwiesen, which we work on since 800 years exactly. And now we go to the courtyard. Here is our family home, built in grey slate brought from Dahlberg. And the first part is built in the 13th century, the small tower in the 16th, and the rest of the house in the 18th century. First it was only to store wine and for administration of the country. And in 18th century then we came down from Dahlberg Castle to Wallhausen. Dahlberg Castle was ruined at the end of the 18th century with the French Revolution, but we came back and still stay here in this beautiful part of Germany. I love the music in the cellar. There is nature, the wooden casks, oak, and the stainless casks. One for Riesling, the other one for Burgunder. So it's music here. It's hauling, it's the fermentation which blubbers. It's music in my ears. When the yeast starts fermentation of the sugary juice of the grapes into alcoholic wine. Now here we are at the entrance of our treasury. Here are the old vintages. We try to store every vintage enough for all our family fairs, enough for many generations to follow, hopefully. That's also the final thing of our visit to the house, to the castle. So next time, please visit us in person. Hearty welcome.
I went to Downside. So that's where I learned everything about William the Conqueror. I don't think anyone in Germany knows him, just kidding. But yeah, so I was in Downside, Somerset, Stratton-on-the-Foss. It's like half an hour south of Bath. That's where I went to boarding school for 5 years. My brother also. Victoria, she went to Mayfield in, I don't know where, south of London.
Sussex.
East Sussex. And yeah, so both of us went to an English boarding school, me for 5 years and you were there for 2 years. So that's our English career. And I also, and I think that was probably, looking back at it, one of the reasons I started doing winemaking. I was in the Vintner Society in our school. And the Vintner Society was basically an excuse for lower and upper sixth formers to drink some alcohol in school. Of course, we learned a lot about wine and sherry and port and so forth. We had excursions, and Mr. Pountney, our teacher who started being the president of the Vintner Society. So one of the teachers was the president, and one of the guys at school was the secretary. So of course, me being a wine grower's son, I was the secretary of the Vintner Society, and there were maybe 10 boys member of the Vintner Society. And so one time, Mr. Pountney, who had his own vineyard at his home, asked us to come and pick the grapes. I don't think I ever ate grapes as bad as them. I don't think I've tasted wines ever as bad as that. So maybe that was one of the foundations of my thoughts of becoming a winemaker. Luckily, there's a lot of places, even in England, where they make a lot of great wine, great sparkling stuff. So I think there was just an exception to the case. Mr. Pountney, I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. That was my wine tasting career in England. One time, I think everything I took on my suitcase, a wine, and I think the most I managed to bring on one suitcase on one trip going from Germany back to boarding school were 9 bottles of wine without breaking any one of them. That was the time they did bag search when we came into school, and when my uncle had to pick them up at the headmaster's office, only to return them to me at the school gate half an hour later. I was very, very glad for Downside starting to educate young men. In that case, it was an all boys school into wine tasting, because I really believe it's such an important cultural thing for anyone in any country and any civilization. And yeah, I will continue with the Two Princes Riesling, and so you can really see who the two princes are. I'm very happy my father is returning and will join us to talk about this Riesling. Cheers.
This style of wine is typical traditional Riesling style with its fruit. It's very good with food and is a very special German style. The wine was made as a cuvée, so it's a blend again. There are two ways to produce top quality wine. One is cuvée, putting pieces together, different wines together, so different from Riesling and different vineyard sites in that case. That is something, the culture of cuvée you do know very well from Bordeaux. The cuvée is even done in the vineyard because they plant different grape varieties into one vineyard side. We do it in the cellar as they do. And the other tradition is Burgundy, which is one side, one cask. That's the other type of wine we do as well. The Grand is the first gross wines we will present English-speaking tasting June 26th. So these two traditions to produce wine are well known worldwide, and the Two Princes is, of course, so two Princes also worked well with who is father of the Two Princes brand, and so it's really a family product around the world, especially in the United States. The thing that German Rieslings have a huge variety and reflect their soil, their terroir very well, is especially true for our region. Our region is the heart of German wine growing. In every direction, there are two other wine regions. To the east, it's Rheingau and Franconia. To Palatinate and Rheinhessen. To the north, it's Mosel.
We have to make a short appearance because there are some problems with the microphones.
Oh, well.
I will just quickly.
We'll take the other one.
Good time to drink more.
Just 1 second and we will be with you. And carry on.
Thank you. Thank you. So hopefully you hear again. It's typical technical problems we all know in those times of virtual. Doesn't work yet? It works. Good. Good to know. So we all know these things, virtual life. Höher dran? Yeah, so good. So let's come back to the situation of our area, being in the middle of German wine growing and having different terroirs, different types of soil. So we can reflect almost all types of German wine growing. And that's fantastic. But that also gives you the chance to taste more because you have to really get to know the different types of wine. And in this Two Princes, you find all we have. You find acidity, fruit, you find alcohol, it got character. It's a wine who inspires, who is a very nice wine to have it just by itself. It's a terrace wine. It's drinkable just for any
occasion. Yeah, I think that's what we really love about this wine. It's not that high in alcohol. You have a great acidity, great fruitness. You have a great fruit at the beginning, especially. Yes, a light sweetness to it also, but then you have the acidity kicking in. And that's what we really love about Riesling. Makes it a great food wine also. And yeah, we sell it throughout the whole of the US and in a lot of other countries also within Germany. And these are really wines we are very, very much fond of. But I think that's what he always does the best of explaining it. Germany standing on 2 feet. Riesling, as I hope most of you will know, other than most other grape varieties. So if you look at Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir, Merlot, they all have a certain taste corridor. Riesling has a taste corridor which is by far the biggest of any grape varieties. And yeah, I think that's maybe something you can talk about also.
Yeah, the reason for that is that it is a late ripener. It uses a whole vegetation period. We harvest Riesling in October, some years in November. So it has the longest time to really draw the minerals out of the soil. And that brings these different minerals, types of minerals, different flavors into the wine. It's not fast cooking, but it's a cool growing, a cool ripening process. And that makes it so special. Felix?
Yeah, thank you.
You go on?
Are you leaving me?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
One generation,
see you in a minute. Yeah. For us, the Two Princes Riesling has really done a huge job, and it's really a wine you start drinking with, you start tasting, and yeah, to us a very, very important wine, just as Riesling is altogether. Another thing we talked about at the beginning, I talked to you about the VDP, and this, just again, the VDP, the eagle on the capsule. Sometimes it's only on the back label. Always when you see that wine, you know it's going to be from the top estate. It's the juice is going to be from the winery, and it's going to be one of the top high-end estates of Germany. The other thing which is very important to us, my father talked about it just before also. He started working organically in the 80s already. And the way of working sustainable is something, if we wouldn't do it, who would? We've been working here for more than 800 years. We know that my family has worked the Felseneck vineyard site. It's one of our top vineyard sites for more than 800 years straight. One family, one plot of land, over more than 8 centuries. That's unique. We are only able to, my father, now me, now we are only able to do this because the 30 generations before us chose to work in such a sustainable manner that we can still use the vineyard sites, the soil, like we can today. And without them taking just as much as they gave back nature by using compost, we have records of the family using compost back 200 years ago already, of working with nature, not against it. And that's the only way we can still work the land now. The soil we work on, we stand on, we grow the vines on, that's the basement of all our work. That's the foundation we stand on, and that's why we joined Fair and Green. It's a label for sustainable wine growing throughout Europe. It started in 2013, and it's a label which not only looks at the work in the vineyard and you work in the cellar, but it also takes into account the work in the office, which bottles you use, how thick they are, what materials you use, how you pay, how the wages are at the estate. It looks whether you collect water and reuse water again, but also on how much fuel you use. Now you say, yeah, that's obvious. If you work organically, no, it's not. Fair and Green is really the only label I know which takes into account more than 50 different parts of work, from what paper we buy to how we grow wine, how we work in the cellar, what we use, and so forth. Even to how sustainable the shipping is. And that's something which is extremely important to us. That's why you have on the back label, you see Fair and Green, the label. And all of you who are more interested into it, all of you got this. Otherwise, there's a pretty good website, Fair and Green. Just Google Fair and Green, you will find it. Yeah, leaving the two princes. We are turning to the last wine of the evening. What's the time? I have to see how am I doing? And I hope for all of you this timing was okay. I mean, we never know how long, how short. We really try to give the wines time. We started at 8:30 because our children have to be in bed by 8. Then we have half an hour to prepare. All you guys in England, for you it was 7:30. But yeah, I hope your children are joining you or whatever, or asleep also.
Felix, before we start.
Oh, I will hold it for you if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Yes.
Before we start with the red wine, we have quite some questions.
Good.
Thank you very much. The first question is whether we sell the wines in Ireland and who is our UK distributor. That's a soft spot, I must say.
I'm sure some of you know someone who sells wine. You tell them to sell our wine. It's as easy as that. We don't at this point have a distributor in the UK. One question for you. This is the best social media studio I've seen, just by the side. Gabriel, maybe you can show this. I love it. I love it.
It's a good old Erica.
Always up to date, my wife. So, tell me more.
So, a further question is, how does our region, so Nahe and Rheinhessen, differ from other regions in Germany, such as Franconia, for example? How many wine regions are there in Germany overall? Tell me.
13, the 13 German wine regions. We have vineyards in 2 of them. Rheinhessen is the biggest one.
And in how many did we have?
Oh, yeah, we used to have wine like everywhere. In 8 different wine regions, we used to have vineyards. Back in the 18th century, 19th century. Now we are in 2 wine growing regions. The Rheinhessen, and then the Rheinhessen is the biggest wine growing region in Germany. The Nahe, where we are here, is fairly small. Both, especially at a high level, have in the past 20 years been amongst the best producers and regions within Germany. And what we're really good at is what we're tasting now. No, it's so versatile. We can do great Pinots, Blanc, Pinot Gris, Pinot Noir, but we're also amazing at Riesling. That's what we love about our side. Franconia, you mentioned Franconia. My uncle, my mother is born in Franconia. Castel is one of the most famous estates in Franconia. They are huge at making Silvaner. So we would never hold up with them doing Silvaner. Our focus is Riesling and the Pinots. That's what we're good at. That's what the climate here is perfect for.
Thank you, Felix. Another question was, how old was the oldest Riesling bottle that we have opened here in the vineyard?
We opened once a bottle. Maybe my father can tell us later. I tasted once a 1917 vintage, because that was the birth year of my grandfather, the father of my father. He was born in 1917. So that was the oldest wine I believe we drank here in Wallhausen. The oldest bottle from our vineyards is from 1937.
And with all these old wines, do you change the cork every now and then so that you really hold the quality that is in there?
Yeah, no, we try to. Usually, you say every 20 years you
change the cork.
Change the cork. You do a new cork.
So you go into the cellar, you pull out all the corks,
get drunk, and put them back in again. Yes.
Okay, I think we should do that
tonight.
Tomorrow.
Sunday, if you don't have anything to do tomorrow, join us in going through our Schatzkammer.
Another question. Why are there Bible verses on the back of the bottle, asks Katie, and how do we choose them?
After we recorked 100 bottles in the Schatzkammer, we do that. I'm Christian, we're Christian, we believe in Jesus, we believe in Jesus being our Lord and Savior, and we also believe in the Holy Spirit, and we believe He leads us to choose the right verse every vintage. Having said that, every vintage has its characters and its events and challenges and so forth.
Which one was the most challenging year for you? The most challenging harvest, or the most challenging year due to frost or hail?
I would probably say 2014 and 2016, because we had a very short time of picking. We had to pick very fast. 17, we had to pick extremely fast because there was a lot of rain during harvest. That was really intense. Yeah, and the Bible verse, since 2013, we choose a Bible verse for every vintage. And yeah, so that's what you see on the back label.
And one last question. Why do Rieslings have such a variation in taste? You talked about the really wide spectrum that we can find with Riesling wines. What is it due to?
It's because God made it that way. It's just the way it is. Riesling is the grape variety which, by trying, is the most versatile grape variety there is. It's not that someone invented it to be like that. It's nature. And yeah.
Thank you. Then I will roll out.
No.
No? I stay here?
You want to taste some red wine?
Absolutely.
Want to finish off that first? No? You can give it to me also? No?
No, I will finish it.
Good. So today you saw that we had screw cap mostly. Single vineyard sites are all in cork. So the closure for our Premier and Grand Cru wines, for our große and VDP erste Lage wines, is cork. All our estate wines are with screw cap. Der Salmrot is a blend between
Merlot. Merlot.
And
Pinot
Noir.
Noir. I know that.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to my English in the last, since I'm in Valhausen. My English isn't that well anymore, but I'm trying my best.
She could greet you in any language possible, I think. Spanish, she speaks fluent Spanish, Italian, French to some extent. Russian, she can speak Russian to you. So
the more wine I drink, the better it goes.
I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, actually, I do have a question for you, Felix. You know, there is this wonderful word in German, Trink-Schluck-Reflexauslöser. Could you probably, before I go, translate this to English?
Yes, I love you too. Bye-bye. That's a challenge. Drink, reflex, kick off mine. Something on those lines. But as maybe you know, Germans are great at what in English you would describe with 5 words. We would put the 5 words in 1 word. That's why I have a hard time to explain. Der Salmrot, we go on to red wine. German, a third of the German viticulture is red wine. So red wine is really a big thing for us in Germany. The 2 southern regions of Germany are bigger in red wine than in white wine. And here in our estate, I talked about that we roughly do 10% in sparkling, 80% is white wine, and yet another 10% is red wine. And probably some of you were shocked at when I explained which grape variety we have. The Pinot is very traditional for German vineyards. Pinot, we are the 3rd biggest Pinot producer, and German Pinots have a great reputation worldwide. Just last year, we had Pinots sold in the auction just in Bad Kreuznach. It's 10 minutes from here, where also we auction a wine. We had a Pinot, there was a Pinot auctioned, Pinot Noir, for I think €700 per bottle. Pinot Noir is and does amazing in Germany. Now this blend also has a Merlot, and the couple of you who have already ordered the case for the tasting on the 26th of June already have a Merlot at the place. Merlot is a grape variety which is new to us. It's not traditional here in the region. It's not traditional for us. But my predecessor in the vineyard management, who was employed by my father, planted a Merlot. My father planted Merlot in 2000, and I thought they were crazy. But it is amazing how with climate change also, we have a warmer climate at the moment. In the past 10-20 years, we've had a far warmer climate than in the years before that. We get Merlots which are on an international standard, and it's amazing to see. So, having said this, this is the entry-level Merlot Pinot blend. We have just behind me the Pinot and the Merlot, pure. From 2018 and 2017, and that's like our Grand Cru red wine, if you want to say so. And we have a Bingen Pinot and this Merlot. We only make around 1,000 bottles for each wine, and these are just like our single vineyard Riesling sites, wines are very, very dear to us. Nonetheless, the Salm is what I really love because it combines the cherry aromas from the Merlot with the freshness, slight acidity from the Pinot, and it's got a great backbone, great intensity to it, great color. Yes, for this I would use a bigger glass, and yes, I think this wine you can also decant or open it earlier. And for any of you who are trying to finish all these wines tonight and no rush, especially the Grünschiefer and the Salmrot, you can keep a little chilled in the fridge for another 6, 7, 8 days. So don't rush anything. Even the Pinot Blanc, I think what you should drink quickly is the sparkling, now within this weekend. The Salmweiss, those are the two wines I think you want to look at drinking them for lunch tomorrow after Mass maybe. But the Grünschiefer and the red wine, you can take some time finishing it. We love our red wine in Germany. We love our blend. This is 2018. It's just been bottled 6 weeks ago. So you still have a great intensity. It's still young, still has time to evolve. It was in the cellar in the small barriques, in the small 230-liter casks, where we have some wood influence into these wines. The new casks we use for the Merlot and the Pinot, and the second, third time we use them, that's what we use for the Salmweiss. And that's where you also see where we try to bring the fish, the salmon, alive. And that's what we're doing here, to bring what we do alive. And Gabriel is gonna has a lot to do tonight to show you this. This is where we really try to bring, even on the label, alive what we do, the fish alive, the salmon alive. That's what we do here in our online tasting. And coming to the end, I'm not sure whether there's still some questions you wanna. You come later, my father first.
Felix, there were quite a few questions about how we can import the wines to different countries like Ireland, England, Turkey. I think most of it can be done directly to the customer without any problem. And if there are problems, they can be solved.
Yeah, that's what I was brought up with. If there's a problem, it's there to be solved. Turkey might be a bit more difficult, but most of the countries, it's on the website. The best is you order 12 packs. 6 packs is also good. We only charge around 15 euros shipping freight. UPS is doing a great job at the moment for us. I think all the cases arrived safely. So it is now possible to send to almost all the countries. Exceptions proving the case. Scandinavia and Switzerland, we don't because of toll.
legal
taxes,
problems. Poor Scandinavians, dear Carl, dear Albert, sorry that you can't drink the wines yet, but maybe one day the monopoly will fall and we will have free market in your country as well. As soon as possible, let us come together as Europeans together, have our next General Assembly in Cordoba. I'm looking very much forward to that. And if that is not the case, there is the opportunity. 26th of June, we will have the next English-speaking wine tasting, and maybe one day even a European tasting from different wine estates all over Europe, all being friends. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, I think this is for us. I mean, that we can do this, that we are able to do this together with all of you, is due to the European friendship, is due to borders being open. We are very, very glad about this and enjoy it a lot. Not only because we were at school abroad, my wife lived in Italy, in England, now in Wallhausen, in Bingen. And yeah, we hope she will join us also. I hope she still wants to join us. She has a great, I don't know, Gabriel, maybe you can point this out. She has a great cask. So this is a cask, you want to come into the middle? Yes. This is a cask we use for the red wine. Now, when after 2-3 years, or 4-5 years, we stop using them and they become part of our social media studio.
So it is. We do have a huge compliment from Tom. This has been our best night since lockdown. Thank you very much. And
cheers to that.
Cheers to that. And we did have a little battle. We have heard about the two princes tonight, and we did have a little battle between two Cecilys concerning the Trinkschluckreflexauslöser. One Cecily said gulp reflex starter or recommended, and the other Cecily answered with a swip, swallow, savior, and enjoy, probably the more elegant version. From Cecily Callahan.
Spot on, Cecily.
And I think this is a good word to end. How can you support us? I think the best way is to take your phone, look out for 5 friends, send them a WhatsApp, and inform them about our next tasting on the 26th of June, our next English online tasting. And
yeah, if you have any questions about our online shop, it's not all in English. We have worked for 800 years to get it right. We've got it right in German. We're still working on the English part. If you have any questions about ordering, shipment, write us an email. You don't need to use Google Translator. We'll understand. Spanish, Italian, my wife will do. French, my father will do. I will do Esperanto. And so please, if you have any questions, you can write to us. You will find everything on prinzsalm.de. And yes, I would be more than happy to welcome all of you again in a couple of weeks, 26th of June, or beforehand.
Where we will be tasting different wines, obviously.
Yes, so the next tasting will all be different wines. We'll have a Merlot, we'll have the other Sect, we'll have a single vineyard Riesling, which is amazing, her favorite vineyard site. So it's something to really look out for. We want to wish you a great evening and
all the best. Stay home, drink wine.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
we're just as close as we can be. And just because we really care, whatever we get, we share. I got it from Agnes, she got it from Jim. We all agree it must have been Louise who gave it to him. She got it from Harry, who got it from Marie. And everybody knows that Marie got it from me. Giles got it from Daphne, she got it from Joan. She picked it up in Ireland, a kiss in the Blarney Stone. Pierre gave it to Sheila, who must have brought it there. He got it from Francois and Jacques. Aha, lucky Pierre.
Over and out.
Max got it from Edith, who gets it every spring. She got it from her daddy, who just gives her everything. She then gave it to Daniel, whose spaniel has it now. Our dentist even got it, and we're still wondering how. But I got it from Agnes, or maybe it was Sue, or Millie, or Billy, or Jilly, or Willie, or doesn't matter who. It might have been at the pub, or at the club, or in the loo. And if you will be my friend, then I might. Mind you, I said might. Give it to you.